There can be various reasons why I choose to make a review a Patreon exclusive, besides, just giving you all the incentive to give me money. One big reason is that since these have mostly been South Park, Family Guy, and Peanuts reviews, I don't want to overload my channels with them and make it look like that's all that I do. Just look at the grief Mr. Enter gets for his Teen Titans Go videos. But this is a very special case. This may be the only review where I have absolutely no choice but to put it behind a paywall for downloading and not for public streaming. Because yes, this is the review of maybe the most forbidden TV episode in history. But more than that, after I watched it, let's just say I have a take on it that will cause all of you to never like me again. I am speaking, of course, of South Park, episode 200 and 201. Of every single episode ever made by South Park, these are hands down the ones to receive the most controversy of all. One of these two was heavily censored, supposedly without Trey and Matt's authorization, and ever since their original airing, they have pretty much been banned completely from the internet. They're not available for viewing on Hulu, Amazon Prime, or Vudu. You can't even purchase them there. They aren't even available for watching on South Park's own website. They were included on the DVD release of the 14th season, but not all copies. The Regions 2 and 4 releases of that season do not include them. What caused this episode to cross the line and have it end up being right in there with Darkwing Duck's hot spells? It's time to finally find out. Episode 200 begins with the kids taking a field trip to South Park's Fudge Factory. Sadly, not the Uranus Fudge Factory. Google it if you don't get that joke, kids.
Chocolate rules. You should know, fat ass. I'm not fat, you sneaky Jew. Oh, God, you guys really? This again? I have a dad, butthole. My mom is my dad. You guys, stop. All you're doing is rehashing a bunch of old stuff.
Ha ha, it's funny because that's all this episode is going to be about. But then they see Tom Cruise working at the factory.
Hey, guys, check it out. Tom Cruise is a fudge packer.
What did you call me?
And here's the first thing they really screwed up on. They could have done something about how Cruise had to take this job because what happened to him in the Come Out of the Closet episode ruined his movie career, and that's why he'll have this vendetta against the town. But no, he's working in a fudge factory thinking he's on vacation in the mountains. I don't get it. If you're trying to project him as being nuts, it's not that funny of a way to describe it. The only purpose it has is so the kids and even Garrison can say he's a fudge packer. Get it? Because it's a euphemism for gay anal sex, so they're suggesting Tom Cruise is gay again. And this causes Cruise to lose it and declare he's going to sue the town. But he's not going to sue on his own. He brings in every single celebrity who has ever been ridiculed by South Park. So this would pretty much make the largest Facebook group ever in history.
South Park, Colorado is the most insensitive, racist, and bigoted place in this country.
Where are they wrong here? And then they make this excessively long joke about how every room in Tom Cruise's house is a closet, using Jared from Subway. Man, did this thing not age well. The next day, Stan gets sent to the principal since he's to blame for the celebrity class action lawsuit against the entire town. And yet, all I can think here is that both Officer Barbrady and that police detective no one likes are in the same room together? So Barbrady didn't die or anything? Then why the hell did they replace him with cops who are less funny? Anyway, Randy tries to make Stan apologize to Cruise for saying he's a fudge packer while he's still in the fudge factory packing fudge. Again, when is the funny supposed to kick in here? And Cruise says he'll drop the suit only if they help him meet the Muslim prophet Muhammad. Do you see where they're going? Do you see where they're going? You see where they're going? The town all talks about how they could possibly get Mohammed to show up without getting bombed by terrorists. And it's here that Stan reveals how he actually did meet Mohammed back when he got the super best friends to help thwart David Blaine's cult all those years before 9/11. Of course, Stan then goes to the super best friends, but not even they are willing to let Mohammed show himself now. They have to agree to this whole situation where Mohammed only comes to South Park in a U-Haul with no windows, which of course becomes a problem when Cruz insists Mohammed meet him in his limo. Look, I get how this whole first act is all a euphemism for how difficult it is to get around political correctness in order to tell jokes today, but there's a little thing known as trying too hard. So why does Tom Cruise want to see Mohammed anyway? Oh, get this. They want to harvest his inner goo that will give them his ability to be safe from public ridicule.
How would you like it if nobody could call your music drunken frat boy monkey garbage? Nobody could rip on you for all the rehashed movies you've made lately. There'd never be a TV show that pointed out you haven't had an original thought since Beetlejuice, and you put Johnny Depp in the same crappy music in every film.
Wait, when did Trey and Matt watch Sage and Film Brain's review of Batman Returns? And here's where we get the second time they screwed up involving Tom Cruise in this episode. The person demanding to see the religious figure that can't be seen due to threats from extremists is himself part of a so-called religion that threatens legal action against anyone who ridicules them, which was the whole point of the Trapped in the Closet episode. And they don't even touch on that irony. Seriously, the Church of Scientology is never mentioned in either episode. The only jokes against Cruise that set him off are the ones suggesting that he's gay, not that he's a shill for the biggest scam religion of them all. So what, now Scientology is the one thing Trey and Matt won't make fun of anymore? And if all this hasn't gotten insane enough for you yet, let's bring in Cartman with his Jennifer Lopez fist puppet.
Hey, Jen! Ah! Oh, wow!
Yes, I am Jennifer Lopez, and I like tacos and burritos.
Of course, Cartman knows it's not really Jennifer Lopez. It's con man Mitch Connor in disguise. Didn't he commit suicide at the end of that episode? And now he wants to get the goo to sell on the open market. But he and Cartman eventually have a falling out, so in order to get Cartman to stick with him, Mitch reveals he actually knows the identity of Cartman's father! Yeah, it turns out that whole story that Cartman's dad is actually his mom because she was a hermaphrodite was all BS. So they just retconned one of the biggest reveals in the show's history and reduced the number of transgender representation in the entertainment industry. Are we sure Trey and Matt aren't comic book writers? Anyway, the only way the kids agree to bring out Muhammad to the celebrities is to have him dressed in a school mascot costume. But then they get attacked by a whole new group of extremists who want Muhammad for themselves. The Ginger Kids? And when the celebs find this out, they decide the only way to fight back is to get violent themselves, so they release Mecha Streisand. And yeah, Trey and Matt really OD on showing off what their animation budget is now, right down to this Mecha Streisand shooting steam from her nipples and gas from her hoo-ha. No, I won't show you the latter. Even for a Patreon review, I have my limits. And all of that was just in episode 200. 201 is where everything really hits the fan. As Cartman is confronting Mr. Garrison about who his real father is, it's revealed that the kids didn't really have Muhammad in that mascot costume because they wouldn't break their promise to the super best friends. They instead stashed him away with Kenny guarding him. By the way, no, Kenny doesn't die in this episode. As Mecha Streisand heads to South Park and the other super best friends go after her, the kids check up on Muhammad, and sure enough, he's censored in this episode. Now, here's where we start getting into the controversy. The censoring of Muhammad's appearance was intentional on Trey and Matt's part, and is actually integral to the plot itself, as we'll see. But then there's what else got censored.
You said you wanted we got him for you.
We have no way of knowing if is really in there. It could be a trick.
Don't do it, Randy. If is seen, we could get bombed.
This is where all the ultimate backlash came from. After 200 first aired, a terror group called Revolution Muslim made direct threats on both Trey and Matt's lives. As a result, Comedy Central censored every single time Muhammad's name gets said in episode 201. And that's not all they censored, as we'll eventually get to. And yes, the censored version is the one released on the DVD, and I'll have my say about that when we reach the end. As Mecha Babs destroys every building in South Park that got at least one episode, am I supposed to feel bad that she smashes the raisins? That episode was pure crap anyway. Stan and Kyle decide that they can clone Muhammad so every group can have a copy. So they go to their old friend Dr. Mephisto, which is where Cartman has also gone to find out about his dad. But then the Ginger kids show up and take Muhammad for themselves, and they strike a deal with the celebrities to have both of them use the goo extracting machine so none of them can be made fun of again. Seriously, all you guys have to do is find religion, and then your religious sect will complain enough to the point where no one can talk about you anymore. And no, that's not just a case with the Muslims. The government of Sri Lanka banned the airing of both these episodes because they portray Buddha snorting cocaine. At any rate, while the kids and Mephisto are held prisoner, Cartman is taken to see the head ginger, who turns out to be...
Revenge is a dish best served chili.
Scott Tenorman?
Okay, that was a good one. The super best friend stops Streisand by faking a Neil Diamond concert that she can sing at. I'm just going with it, we're approaching the home stretch here. While Cruz is the first to test the goo extractor that sure enough censors him, Scott reveals the sordid secret that Cartman is actually the product of a tryst between his mom and a Denver Broncos player. Okay, really? That has to be number 5,714 on the list of scandals this town has produced. Oh, but that's not all, because it turns out Cartman wasn't that player's only child. He was also the father of Scott Tenorman!
You killed your own father, and then you fed him to your half-brother.
Okay, screw comic books. Are we sure Trey and Matt aren't ghostwriting for Game of Thrones? Anyway, a whole brawl breaks out, and it turns out the censor goo doesn't work, and that's when this happens.
That's because there is no goo, Mr. Cruz. You see, I learned something today.
Yep, they censored out the entire I learned something today speech. 3 characters get in on the speech, and they all get bleeped out. I'll get back to this in a bit, but we need to wrap this episode up. Everyone prepares to start rebuilding the town for the 39th time. That sounds like a low number for South Park. Cartman is in tears because Scott's father being his dad means he's part ginger. But then Mitch tells him it's okay because he's also part Bronco. And the other kids offer to take Tom Cruise someplace where he can never be made fun of again. The moon, where the kids launched that orca whale to die. So yeah. My thoughts on these episodes. I will say the good stuff first. The episodes were clearly one big love letter to the series as a whole and to everyone who watched the show for its entire run up to that point, which an anniversary episode like this should be in my view. And they used every past reference and previously used character to create the absolute most ludicrous plot they ever could have conceived, which I can actually appreciate. Because of that, I can see it as a huge disappointment that it's been completely banned ever since, in addition to the censorship it received. But was the censorship and the banning all the network's fault? The day after 201 first aired, Trey and Matt released a statement completely blaming Comedy Central for the episode's censorship, and for what it's worth, the network did take responsibility for it as well. The statement from Trey and Matt was published on the DVD release right before the start of 201. But here's where I say the thing that's going to make you all hate me. Something smells fishy about the whole situation to me. Let's start first with one very specific part of the episode that was censored: Kyle's speech at the end. In January 2014, someone gained access to the uncensored version of 201 and leaked it online. The complete leaked episode isn't incredibly easy to find. However, I was able to get the uncensored version of Kyle's speech.
You see, I learned something today. Throughout this whole ordeal, we've all wanted to show things that we weren't allowed to show. But it wasn't because of some magic goo. It was because of the magical power of threatening people with violence. That's obviously the only true power. If there's anything we've all learned, it's that terrorizing people works.
That's right. Don't you see, Gingers? If you don't want to be made fun of anymore, all you need are guns and bombs to get people to stop.
Yeah, this is what Comedy Central censored. Nothing about Muhammad, nothing about Islam, just ridiculing the fact of how all societies tend to resort to violence. This was something the network thought needed to be bleeped out because of the threats of a teeny tiny wannabe terrorist organization. Somehow I'm not buying that. Then there's the ban of the episodes themselves. As I said before, the 200 and 201 episodes have never been allowed to stream on South Park's website or on any site like Hulu, Amazon Prime, or one where you could legally purchase the episode. And yet, Cartoon Wars remains up and available when that was the episode that more or less started the whole gag about censoring Muhammad. If there is one bit of episode that maybe the censorship is legit, it's that Comedy Central seems to also be banning the old Super Best Friends cartoon from season 5, where Muhammad was actually depicted uncensored. If Cartoon Wars suddenly gets dropped from circulation as well, maybe I'll start to believe it more. And yeah, maybe Comedy Central knows that banning it would be doing the exact thing the episode itself points out, but I just don't buy it if they've been this stubborn about the other episodes for all these years. Then there's the case of the DVD showing only the censored version. Comedy Central has allowed episodes that were censored on the air to be published uncensored on the DVDs before. Yet this is the one they don't even budge there on. If it's because they're afraid of overseas sales, again, the episodes were stripped from the region's 2 and 4 releases. So that problem is already taken care of. And then there's this one big question above all else. If this was so outrageous in the views of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, how the hell did they not up and quit over this? This should have been the final straw for them to stand up and tell Comedy Central, screw you guys, we're going home. Did Team America, World Police, and Basketball do so bad that they've lost all confidence in doing anything but South Park now? And have just relented to being Comedy Central's big show lapdogs? Show some damn pride, guys! Believe me, I know how uptight and uncompromising network heads can be, but every single circumstance here tells me there's more to the story. The idea that the network has supposedly given in to the threats of terrorism this much, and that Trey and Matt just went along with it to the point where they're still working with Comedy Central 9 years later, tells me you all are being worked. That's right, I'm daring to say it. Trey and Matt are in on this completely. I wouldn't even be surprised if they were the ones who secretly leaked the uncensored episode themselves. And yeah, was it just to boost sales of the DVD release? With an episode that was supposed to be the biggest love letter to the fans, Parker and Stone just pulled the biggest FU prank on the fans. And I honestly don't know whether to despise them or praise them for it. All I can think of to finish this review with is, I shudder at what they have planned for episode 300.